Oh golly gee, welcome to the program. My name's Chris Raygun. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to be reviewing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Haven't played it yet because my Nintendo Switch is being held hostage by a fucking mailman. Hey, we tried to deliver your Nintendo Switch, but you just weren't home. I mean, I know that you're a YouTuber and you don't leave your house, so you definitely were home, but fuck you. I swear to God, this has only ever been a problem since I moved to California. But in all seriousness, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of video. A lot of you have asked me over the last several months, hey Chris, what's the equipment that you use? What's your lighting equipment? What's your camera equipment? What's your mic? And a lot of people have asked that over the last couple of months. And with the next Raygun recap being a bit more of a production than it normally is, you know, I'm trying to put more effort into it. I mean, I went to fucking film school. I might as well use some of that knowledge, right? I'm in debt. So yeah, I'm trying to put more effort into my videos as of late. I know that's kind of suicidal, given how the YouTube algorithm really punishes people who put effort into their shit. But I'll just sleep better at night if I do that. But I didn't want to leave you guys without a video of any kind. I mean, I feel like I'm just being lazy at that point. And also, the algorithm will fuck me if I don't. So today we're going to go over all of the equipment that I use to make my videos. I understand that this is a very inside baseball topic. Very few people are going to be genuinely interested in what I have to say today in the equipment that I use. But for those of you who wanted to know, I figured what better way to do it than a video in the middle of a bit of a content drought. Now obviously, first things first, everybody wants to know what the camera is. I'll get that right off the bat. It's a pretty simple setup. Now this kind of thing really just comes down to preference, but I use a Canon 80D with an 18 to 135mm lens. It's got pretty good functionality. The resolution is pretty solid. I don't ever really use this thing to the fullest of its potential. You can do 60 FPS. You can do time lapses and shit like that. I don't, just cause time. The biggest reason I settled on the Canon 80D though is the fact that its autofocus is actually pretty fucking solid. Before I got this camera, I used the Canon 700D, and that camera was pretty solid overall, but the autofocus on that was terrible, and the manual focus just didn't really jive well with what I was doing. I'm very animated in my videos. Sometimes I'll be like this, sometimes I'll be like this, and you know, you need a good autofocus for that. You're never going to be able to manually focus on that. It's just impossible. In fact, a lot of the videos I did back then with the 700D were entirely out of focus the entire time. But this autofocus tracking feature is actually pretty solid. It doesn't get exactly in focus, but it gets in focus enough for it to not be like, hey, you fucking did the whole video out of focus, you retard. Try again, dumb, more like Chris Retarded Gun. So yeah, that's the camera that I use. It's a Canon 80D DSLR with an 18 to 135mm lens. It's a really solid camera. It's also sturdy as fuck. I've dropped this thing more times than I care to admit, and it's perfectly fine. That's how you do product placement. Get your shirts today. The tripod is pretty standard. You can really use any tripod. I use, what is this thing? I use a Sunpack Ultra 6000 PG. It's fun. I personally like this tripod most out of the ones that I got, but your tripod really doesn't matter at all. That's just what I would recommend. I like those tripods a lot. They're pretty cheap and they're pretty sturdy for what they are. Now the next thing we're going to go over is audio and microphones. Personally, I think this is probably the most important thing on the list. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of people can get away with not even showing their face, not even making videos with a camera at all. Sometimes they can get away with just doing all voiceover, all in editing. But you can't really get away with any of that if you don't have a good quality microphone. Now I do want to clarify one thing before I get on with the microphone. The audio that I'm using right now is the onboard camera microphone for the Canon 80D. There's no special boom mic attached to it. This is the base audio for the Canon 80D. I know that's gonna sound like cancer, but I think it's the best way to illustrate the difference between the sounds. Now the microphone that I use is an Akg C 214. I'm a fucking tremendous fan of this thing. It's incredibly expensive and it's an XLR mic, so you will need an audio interface to properly get the most out of it. But I'm a big fan of it. I think the audio quality is kind of speaks for itself. Just to give you a compare and contrast, I'll play you a clip of video that uses this microphone right now.
Most of this is probably incredibly boring, and you probably don't really give a shit about it.
It's a pretty decent sized change in quality. This is the case that it comes in. I've got, let's see how this opens up here. Now this is what it looks like when you open it. It's got the microphone, it's got the thing to connect to the scissor arm or whatever mic stand you have, and then it's got obviously the fucking foam thing. I have 3 of these things, one for each of the people who live in this apartment, because we're obviously we're gonna start the podcast soon, so we need a mic for each one of us. but I love this microphone. But again, it is incredibly expensive, especially compared to some of the better USB mics that you can get. And one thing I will note, these things don't act well with Discord or any kind of streaming service. If you're gonna get an expensive XLR mic that runs through an audio interface, you're probably not gonna have a good time because for whatever reason, programs like Discord really fuck with it. So if you're looking for a microphone that you can use as both a recording device and something that you can use just to communicate with people on Discord or even most multiplayer video games, you're gonna want to go with kind of like a USB mic, maybe like a Samson. I know IDubbbz uses like some kind of Samson mic that he stands by. But I think if you're just going to get a microphone for the studio, for the best sound that you can get, I'm a big fan of these things. And by the way, I'm going to list all the Amazon links in the description for all these things so you can check it out yourself and find alternatives and all that shit. That'll be in the description if you want it. Now the next bit of audio equipment we're going to go over is my lavalier microphone. This is the thing I used to get audio when I was out shooting the whole Lego thing. Get that Lamborghini for production value? It's clearly my car. I bought it with all my my YouTube money. If you don't know what a lavalier microphone is, essentially it's just a microphone that connects to the camera and then wirelessly transmits to something that you're carrying. And it's like one of those little string mics that you hook up to here, and it's all really cool. But basically it allows you to get really crisp audio no matter how far away you are from the camera. It's a pretty solid microphone, I was told that these are the lav microphones that H3H3 uses. I don't know if that's true. It's pretty standard shit. You got a receiver and a transmitter. Obviously the receiver goes onto the camera and the transmitter goes onto you. You clip it onto you, you wire the mic up to your shirt, and you're good to go. Now these are a bit tricky getting used to. I'm sure most of you are probably aware, if you're an audiophile like me, that that Lego video had quite a few audio issues. The Americana, home of stores. Truth be told, I was just getting used to the audio equipment. I was just getting used to how far away the microphone should be. I would recommend that with these particular microphones, you don't place it up here because it actually picks up quite a bit of audio. So you're gonna wanna kind of put it around here if you have like a lapel or something further away from your face but still on your person is what I would recommend, because otherwise you're gonna get blown out audio. Also, keep in mind that might just be me fucking up, but I figured it was worth noting. Those are also expensive as fuck. Now one thing I did want to add, just before any of you guys commit to buying this microphone and a scissor arm for it, this is probably the best scissor arm you can get. It's really cheap, and it works perfectly right out of the box with this thing. I bought two more expensive versions of these that actually don't fit this microphone at all. So what I would recommend, if you're going to get the Akg C214, you're gonna want to get this specific scissor arm. It's a very good scissor arm. It's a tad flimsy, but mine hasn't broken on me. And also, it fits perfectly with the good quality mic. So that's just my 2 cents on the issue. I was kind of bit in the ass when I got 2 other ones that weren't compatible with this thing at all. I ended up having to get a fucking adapter, and I hate those fucking things. Next thing we're going to be focusing on is the interface, but I want to get a bit of a close-up just so I can accurately explain to you how this motherfucker works. So obviously, if you're planning on getting an XLR microphone like the Akg C214, you're going to need one of these audio interfaces to actually get the most out of it, to actually even use it in the first place. A lot of them say that you can like plug them into the microphone and then they have like a little bit of a normal headphone jack adapter, but those things are fucking garbage. But what you're gonna want, it's a pretty simple thing to get working once you got it working. You simply plug it in, you install the fucking software, simply click that, and the microphone is attached. So what we're gonna do is we're going to test a little bit. Now the loud, obviously that's gain and shit, so now, even at a normal speaking volume, it's getting into the red. You don't want the red. Usually right here is a pretty good soft spot, because you can get right up into the you can get right up into the microphone, and it doesn't really do much of anything bad in terms of ripping up the audio. So this is a pretty handy bit of equipment. It's a bit too loud. Now keep in mind, this particular audio interface is really more me going overboard than anything else. There's really no reason for the average person to have a 4 XLR port audio interface, especially a Scarlett, which aren't necessarily the higher end things. I got this one specifically for the podcast. You can pick up a far cheaper one with 1 microphone in port. I typically use this whenever I'm recording music or recording audio on the MacBook. This is a pretty solid bit of equipment also. It works exactly the same as that one. Has the same problems though. So Discord is fucking useless on this thing. Now the lighting kit that I use is a bit more complicated. I'm actually not sure if I have this shit set up right at all. but it's a fairly cheap lighting kit. It comes with a green screen. I'll have it on screen. I don't remember the entire full name of it because it's a bit fucking retarded. But it's a pretty good bang for your buck. I'd say the lighting is pretty solid now. I do have to tweak it a little bit. It should be noted that this particular set doesn't come with a dimmer of any kind or any flags, so that's a bit of a bummer. But you do get a pretty enormous green screen.
Now I did forget to mention the GoPro that I have. It's a GoPro Session 5. It's fine. There's not really much to talk about. It's a GoPro. You could do a lot of shit with it.
And of course, you can find all of the Amazon links to these products in the description below if you want to grab one of these for yourself, if you've taken everything that I've had to say into account. You probably could get away with cheaper alternatives, but for some reason, I'm just a cunt, and I decided to spend money on this instead of nutrients to continue living. Anyway, that's going to be for me today. I know this video is a lot more boring than a typical video. If you've just been introduced to me through this video, probably not a good idea, but I've been getting a lot of questions about it. I figured I'd answer them. New regular recap coming soon. Social Justice and Musical Part 5 coming soon, so stay tuned for all that. God damn it. I'm a mailman. I'm gonna give you your Nintendo Switch, but I don't know how to get into the building. Fucking mailman that doesn't know how to get into the building. How about your Nintendo Switch careers, cunt? Fucking moron.